Sean O'Brien of Leinster, Ireland and the Lions. At the moment, I guess, trying to shake off a bit of a niggle, a bit of an injury. You might talk to us about the nature of that and what it is and what the prospect of return is and when.
It's just a bit of hip tightness at the minute, so it kind of came on me there the last few weeks, and something I've been trying to manage. So cracked into rehab, and it's improved a good bit. So probably hasn't improved enough this week to be available for selection, but hopefully next week. So
it's something that you kind of have to manage, I guess, when you're at this stage of your career and heading into your early 30s. Is that something you're okay with, knowing that some weeks you just might not be able to train as hard as others, some games you won't be able to play in? Like, I know you'd love to play against Ulster, but the body is saying, look, you need a rest because there's bigger challenges to come.
Yeah, well, it's not really the body saying it. It's just you pick up these bits and pieces, and I'm used to managing injuries now, so at this stage, so it's not very different for me, or there's nothing new there for me. I know how to deal with them, and I know not to rush back or to push something to try and play, which I've done probably in the past before. When you're younger, you're an eager beaver, but you realise that you have to get things right first before you get back on the field. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Is that the hardest thing as a player, to not rush back, to not try and hide something from the physio, to try and get out on the pitch? Because as a player, all you want to do is play, which is absolutely and completely understandable. Yeah,
sometimes. In fairness to the medical staff at Leinster, they're brilliant, and they manage it pretty well too, and make sure that you are right coming back. You have to be open and honest about these things, and there's no point in going out there half cocked. So it's important that everyone is as fit, because we have a big squad, we've quality players, and if you're at 50%, there's someone else out there that's at 100, so that can do your job.
I imagine there's a great level of trust with Leo and Stuart and the staff as well, John Fogarty, Gervin Dempsey, Guy Easterby, that you can say, you know what, I'm not 100% this week, or maybe there's just something I need to rest, and you can rest, and they know you're not trying to DOS it. In fact, if anything, you're actually trying to save yourself for the big games, or save yourself for the right time to play. The big games is probably the wrong phrase to use.
Yeah, of course. They're in contact with the S&C staff and the medical department the whole time, so yeah, they trust us to make sure that we're giving them honest feedback, and they'll look after us as best as possible.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years back, I think you were on Off the Ball with Brian O'Driscoll, one of our hosts, and he was talking about minding himself and all that, and it's a term that maybe sports people maybe don't like to use, but it is something that has to be done. Is it a matter now that you're kind of looking and going, okay, I'm going to pitch up for the Champions Cup, or I'm going to try and peak for those Champions Cup games and then Ireland, or can it work like that?
No, it's not about minding. It's not about minding yourself. It's minding your body off the field, and making sure that you're doing your work and you're doing your rehab, and you're making sure that you're fit every week. So I wouldn't class it as minding yourself. You know what I mean? When you play, you don't mind yourself. It's after you play, then you try and get yourself back in a good place to go again the following week. So you get smart with things like that, and you understand your body a lot better.
Is that the hardest thing, to mind yourself off the park? Because we've seen it recently, and it was the Ireland forwards coach, whose name has slipped my mind now, basically said Cian Healy changed his diet, he changed a lot of things that he does off the park, and look at him now, he's absolutely flying. Is that something that you've had to continue to evolve? Change your diet, look at your diet, look at doing yoga, Pilates, the whole lot?
Yeah, there's certain things that you bring into your training plan, and your nutrition side of things is obviously massive too, but I think I'm pretty on top of that side of things in terms of my nutrition and my lifestyle now. In previous years, I've said this before, that there was probably bits and pieces that I wasn't looking after myself well enough on. But it is I suppose you evolve as a player, and as you get older you get more experience, and again you get to know your body better and better as the years go on, so it is a big part of it now.
And how do you feel then when you're watching the game against Connacht and you're seeing Van der Fleer and Levy flying and Max Deacon coming in flying? Does it kind of up the ante for you? Does it fire a shot acroff the bows, or how does it work?
It doesn't really. I'd expect that from those lads. They're all competitive. They're all class players. They've all proved it time and time again. So Max is probably a bit younger and is getting a bit more game time. But the other two lads are performing week in, week out, any opportunity to get. So it's no surprise to any of us, and that's what you want in the squad. You want competition. You want lads fighting for their place. You want quality players that are able to do that week in, week out.
And how does it work then in training when you say that they're teammates, but they're also competition? You want to play with each other, but you also want to kind of stand out to get picked. So how does it work when you're training together and working together and playing together?
Yeah, it was a competitive environment, so that's what I mean by you want that competitiveness at training, and there is that edge there at training, but at the same time there's a massive respect between players and people alike. There's no one going around training trying to kill each other as such, but it's a competitive environment and you want standards to be high, so everyone is trying to push that and everyone's trying to drive that.
A couple of big games coming up in the Champions Cup. Obviously there's the game against Ulster in the Pro 14 as well. You're in a very good place. You've set yourselves up well for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we've done well over the last number of weeks. Put ourselves in some good positions. But the next 3 or 4 weeks of this block is highly important to the rest of the year. So it's an exciting time for us. It's something that everyone is looking forward to. It's something that the squad is looking forward to, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we're building nicely, and we've done a lot of hard work and put ourselves in a good place.
Did you take something more than match wins out of those matches against Exeter, if you follow my lead there? I mean, the way those games were won maybe gives you a boost, maybe sends the right message, just kind of gives you the confidence to know, okay, maybe we're in with a shout at this Champions Cup.
Yeah, well, you take it week by week, but I definitely think we took a step in the right direction with those 2 games, with how tough and physical they were, and how we came back the second day, and played in the second half. So it probably give a lot of the younger guys a lot of confidence going forward in the competition, knowing that we grind it out when we need to. So it's a good thing. There's a lot of positives to take from those 2 games. We backed up, what we said we were going to do during the week, which was a good thing.